Okay, so I'm going to give you a quick overview on myself and my experience today, but I also wanted to end on hopefully some educational things that I've learned out of my startup that I think if you aren't thinking about it, I would recommend you do. And I know we've polled the audience, but for my benefit, because I showed up a bit late, how many people here have a startup, thinking of a startup, brewing a startup, blossoming a startup, want to be in a startup?
Right?
Yeah.
You don't have to have one.
You don't have to have one, you can want. Yeah, got it. Okay, awesome. So this is like a super unsexy but very important concept in startup land, which is the value proposition. You guys talk about value proposition in your world, right? This lesson, it's so annoying because it's such a simple concept. However, it took me a very long time to figure this out. And I would still say I'm still trying to figure it out. So what is a value proposition? See, I had to click and read my slide because even though I've been in the startup world for the last 9 years and before that was a marketing executive, I still get stumped on what this term really is. But ultimately, the whole point of a value proposition is that you have something meaningful and cool that customers want, and they'll pay for it, if that is indeed your business model, which it should be. It's a business. And to kind of differentiate, I wonder, this was the thing. Do you full screen it? Because the animation may not. I have some really cool gifts in here. There's like dancing. I don't.
Do it together.
Yeah. So, let's see. If you full screen it, I bet we'll just have to go through. Ding, ding, ding. If you go to like slide or format, view. Go to view. No?
Try.
You're doing great. Totally. Present. Go to present. Oh, is this in Google Docs? Oh, I sent it in PowerPoint.
So much judging.
Okay. All right. Whatever. Okay. Up here is the value proposition. So the value proposition is like the overarching value that you bring to a specific customer group that is your business, right? Okay, so it's your market, your basket of benefits, your overarching benefits, and your value and price. How does that compare to the positioning statement, which you can't read, but I'm going to tell it to you because I do know this, is your positioning statement can change depending on the customer and the market that you're talking to, right? So a lot of people confuse those two terms. Unfortunately, people use them interchangeably. The value proposition is your business. It's the what, the so what, the why you're doing it. And getting your value proposition right is very important. So here's a little bit about my story. These gifts are gonna work. So when I was 26, I had an idea and I fell in love with my idea. I thought it was so smart and so great. And so then I was like, okay, I've got this idea and I was lucky enough to find financing, I'm gonna go and build it. Right? And so then I was like, okay, I'm building it because in my mind, when you have a great idea, you go and build it and then there's a party and then at the end, there's money. Right? However, much to my dismay, and we literally had this, we launched on TechCrunch and back in 2008, that was like the place to launch, and our servers crashed, and we thought we were so smart. And so what we started out with was a free SMS marketing platform in 2008. And the way that we were going to fund that was that advertisers would pay to be part of people's free SMS messages that they created off our platform. And so when we launched TechCrunch, our servers crashed. We thought we were going to be the next Google. Oh my God, no. In fact, the novelty wore off very quickly, and we realized people didn't want to pay for that business because as much as we had thousands and thousands of users, if you're in advertising and you're looking to get awareness, you want hundreds of thousands, no, you want millions of users, right? And so the road to get to millions of users for our transactional business was something we just couldn't do. We didn't have enough capital to do it. However, we had advertising agencies come to us and they said, you know what, we really like what you're doing. It's really easy to set up an SMS campaign. So that's what it was at the time. So maybe we'll pay for this. And so we thought, okay, awesome. You're the customer. Cool. And we repositioned our platform. We made it the agency mobile marketing. So this is in 2009. And what ended up happening is the agency wasn't the customer. They were the channel. So we had to dive into a trough of sorrow. I know this is a bit more depressing than Amielle's, because it gets worse. And you're like, holy shit, how do we solve this problem? Anyway, so we went through some pretty interesting times. The crash of ineptitude. And you know what's really funny is a board member showed me this graph when I was pitching, like, you know, hey, we've really got it figured out. And he showed me this graph, and I did go and cry in the bathroom, which I want everyone to know is totally okay to do. You can do that. It's not a big deal. So we repositioned the product. We realized that the brands were our customer, right? So the value proposition's changing. We added in email. We added in social media. We became a cross-channel marketing platform, and we started to onboard brands. Yay, right? No. Oh, okay. Maybe we were more wiggles of false hope. So we were just out of the crash of ineptitude, kind of dallying with the wiggles of false hope. However, in the last couple of years, we realized that selling to the brands was great, but if you're on the campaign side of the business, so you're selling them software to make their marketing campaigns work, the problem with that is you always have to sell the next campaign. So what we ended up doing in the last 2 years, remember we're 9 years old, we pivoted again. And we came up with some very cool technology to measure your customer across all media channels and to be able to segment and target them very effectively. We relaunched our platform, and within 6 months, we got a banner reference client that went from $100,000 to a $300,000 account, and we're now moving to grow our next account, our next client. So, what's that to say? I had the value proposition wrong many times. And even when I thought I was listening to the market, I didn't really see the whole picture. And so my advice is all around getting the value prop right. You have to think like a scientist, not a dreamer. So falling in love with your idea is important. You need that to persevere. You need to be that crazy one. But when you've got your idea, you've got to figure out a very cash efficient, very quick, and very meaningful way to iterate, measure, and build, right? And I know I just said those backwards, but you know what I mean. So much like Claude, who talked to 100 customers and then decided to build a product, that is the type of thinking that you need to apply. Every time you have a concept, you need to say, okay, this is a thesis. It's an idea, it's not a reality yet. And I'm gonna figure out a way to prove this thesis. And I'll just close with this as sort of a last educational piece. So this whole idea of building, failing, iterating, persevering, and really taking a journey approach versus a field of dreams approach, which is build it and they will come, is very much the lean startup methodology. Is everyone here familiar with lean startup? No? Does someone say no? Okay. So the lean startup is precisely that. It's put out something very cost efficient from a product perspective, get customer feedback, and then learn and iterate. Had I known this 9 years ago, I feel like the mistakes that I had made and the different decisions that we went along, that I would have been able to leapfrog through that much faster, and maybe we'd be much more successful than we are today. And so when I think about Tagga, I think, awesome, I can't wait to sell this, and we're doing great, really happy about that. But most importantly, I can't wait to do it again, and to go after my next business and take everything I learned and reapply it. And for me, one of the biggest takeaways was value proposition and getting it right. Thank you. I will repeat the question if you ask it. Oh, sorry. Yes, thank you. Thanks for asking.
Not a problem. I really appreciate the fact that you've acknowledged that you've made a bunch of mistakes to get where you are. Don't discount that. I think from a leapfrog point of view, we all know what happened with the captain of the Titanic, who'd never seen an iceberg for 25 years.
Yeah.
But I think when you look at where you want to pivot to next, through all of your growth here, is it in the same industry, or do you want to try something completely different?
Well, it's a good question. So I'm working on a couple of projects. So I think I'm a startup girl in my heart of hearts of hearts. I just came back from a year of mat leave, and I was like, I want to do this again. So yes, in that version. I am, right now I'm thinking more about the end customer. So I love the marketer, but like in the brand. However, I do want to sell something that I would use. And so I'm really thinking more about the consumer side and more in my target market. So yeah. Any other questions? You guys are hot. I mean, like it's hot. Yes.
You meant that you didn't test the value proposition in the first year of the startup?
Yes. I did not. No.
So how did you approach to your investors?
Yes, that's a very good question. So I had a story, and I think at the time a really good business plan, like such a dirty word, but in 2008 that's what you used. And the story was, I used to run marketing for an investment firm, and everyone at the time was addicted to their crackberry, and I really wanted to figure out a way to connect with them. So it was a plausible story. However, when you got into the business and understanding that it took a lot of action to get any revenue in terms of millions and millions of transaction, all those things I didn't even look at because I was up here and in love with my idea. But the investors agreed with that high level hypothesis. They took a huge gamble and they liked the business plan. So I was very lucky. Yeah, very lucky. Yes. Yeah. I don't know if I'll be as lucky the second time around. But
One
yeah.
last question right here.
What does iterate mean? I feel like that's an important thing to know.
Yes, it is. So iterate is, great question. Iterate is evolving, improving, testing, changing course, adapting. I know I'm just throwing out other words, but
If iterate just means evolving, why don't they call it evolving?
well, that's a great question.
It's mathematical.
Is it a math?
Yeah, iteration.
Iteration. Okay, that's why. So, okay,
Oh,
it's a
evolve-
mathematical term. There you go.
Steps.
Evolving in steps. Okay.
Evolve in steps.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
iterating.
I can dig that. I can dig it.
All right.
Yeah.
Woo! Thank you.